Hello students! So welcome to day 2. Now if you notice, our learning target is exactly the same. I can use the zero product property to solve polynomial equations by factoring. And so what we're going to do today is we're just going to talk a little bit more about different ways how to solve by factoring. And I'm going to show you another method how you can check. So notice in our notes in the graphic organizer in the front, we still have, or at the top I should say, we still have one method, which is factoring, and we're using the zero product property. So I walked through how I solved a different example than yesterday. So notice my leading coefficient's 4. So I have options of whether I want a 4x and an x in the first spot. So I'm going to try a 4x and an x. Then I need two numbers that multiply to 1, my C value. So I have 1 and 1, which is nice. And then remember, we multiply the outsides and the insides, and then ask ourselves, is there any way I can put pluses or minuses in front of those two numbers so that I sum to negative 3x? And the answer is a negative 4x and a positive 1. So up until yesterday, we were done. That's all we could do was factor the quadratic trinomial into two binomial factors. But now we're going one step further, and we are solving it by factoring. So we're using the zero product property because I'm equal to 0, and the zero product property allows me to take each binomial and set it equal to 0 and solve to get our solutions. So in this quadratic, our two solutions are negative 1/4 and 1. And so yesterday, when we talked about how to check your answers, I showed you how you can plug negative 1/4 or 1 in for x into both values of x in the equation, and we should get 0 equals 0. Well, there's actually another efficient way, and I actually think it's more, I was going to say more faster, but that's not a thing, more efficient. And as I wrote here is we can graph. And so what I did is I typed my quadratic. So I typed, this is y equals 4x squared minus 3x minus 1 into Desmos. And what we're paying special attention to are the x-intercepts. So you can go ahead, and if you want to double check, you would graph that quadratic in Desmos, and you're going to get the exact same two x-intercepts. And what do you notice? The x-intercept of negative 0.25 is the same thing as negative 1/4. And then I also have an x-intercept of 1. And so that's another solution. And so you can verify that you factored correctly to find the solutions. And now you may be asking, why can't I just graph everything? And that's a great question. And we're going to get to that, but I'll answer it quickly because I know you guys are wondering. And that's because graphing doesn't always give us exact answers, whereas factoring does. And factoring is just one method. Again, we're going to have eventually 3 more methods by the end of this unit. Okay, so example 1 says solve the following polynomial equations by factoring. And if you notice, across the top, A, B, and C, we have polynomials that are already factored for us, and that's awesome. All that means is we can use the zero product property, set them equal to 0, and get our solution. So why don't you pause the video and check those solutions. Okay, so hopefully you pause the video and use the zero product property on the first 3 problems on the first row. And we got our solution. So the first one was x equals negative 16. B, we had x equal negative 5 and 5, and C, we had x equals 0, 1, and 2. And notice on A and B, we had We had GCFs that were numbers, so we ignore them. They make no difference in helping me find my solutions. So here's the big thing. Notice, if I look at these problems, okay, my highest exponent is 1. And how many solutions are we going to find? And hopefully you say 1. So the big idea is that linear equations, because my highest exponent is 1, means there's always 1 solution. And now, because of all the quadratics you've practiced, notice my highest exponent is 2. Quadratic equations have 2 solutions. And notice cubic equations, you've probably figured this out, have 3 solutions, okay? And so what do you notice about the number of solutions to the equation? Okay, and the degree of the polynomial. And the big idea is that the number of solutions equals the degree of the polynomial. Okay, and so when we solve quadratics, we will always get 2 solutions. When we solve cubics, we will always get 3 solutions. If we were solving a 4th degree, 5th degree, we'd get 4 and 5 solutions respectively. Now, this fact has a fancy name. It's called the fundamental theorem of algebra, and I wish we were in class because this is my favorite theorem. And it says a polynomial of degree n, so remember degree, oops, I always do that. Degree is our highest exponent. Okay, means it has exactly n solutions, roots, zeros. These words are all interchangeable. They all mean the exact same thing. Okay, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to pause this video, but I want you to go back and I want you to try to solve D, E, and F by factoring. So when you are ready, unpause the video and you can check your solutions. Okay, so here's your detailed solution. So for D, you should have gotten x equals 3. For E, x equals 4 and 2. And F, x equals 0, negative 4 and 2. Notice on F, we had a GCF of x, so we first had to factor that out. And then you were focusing on factoring x squared plus 2x minus 8. I also wanted to point out I put a graph of a cubic up in the right corner in gray, and you can do this on Desmos as well. You can type the function in and your x-intercepts are your solutions. Okay, so big idea that we need to frame this unit with is the number of solutions equals the degree of the polynomial. Okay, so example 2 says solve the following polynomial equations by factoring. Don't forget about special patterns, so we mean difference of squares. And really I'm going to add the word perfect squares in. Okay. So what I want to notice is we're just going to talk about how many solutions we should have. So for A, if I would ask you how many solutions are you going to find, you should answer 2 because the highest exponent is 2. B, how many solutions are you going to find? The answer is 2. Notice on B, you are going to have to move 8 over to the left side so that you would get like 2x squared minus 8 equals 0 so that you could then solve it. Make sure you factor out a GCF. C, when you factor C, ooh, that looks like a factoring by grouping. You're going to get 3 solutions because my highest exponent is 3. For D, E, and F, what is my highest exponent? And hopefully you are telling somebody in your house right now or speaking out loud to yourself that, again, we are going to have 2 solutions on those. Okay? So what I want you guys to do is you can now switch over to your notes, and I want you to try A through F. The answer key is posted, so you can double check your answers. I do want to point out D, E, and F, the solution's going to repeat itself. We're going to write it out twice because we know, and we're going to communicate that we always know quadratics have 2 solutions. So try these 6 problems. These are great questions to ask me questions on if you need further help. But you're now ready to try these 6 on your own and then check your solutions on Canvas.